In this lesson, we're going to look at making eyes larger. This is a very, very popular technique in fashion photography, and a lot of times you're not doing it just for the look. Bigger eyes generally look better, but in this case, you might be doing it because the way you set up the shot or the way the person was made at the factory. One eye looks larger than the other. In this case, the eye further away from the camera actually looks a little larger than the first one. So you can do it for strictly cosmetic reasons, or you can do it to help the portrait look more balanced. Either way, it's such an easy technique, there's no reason not to do it. So first what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get the lasso tool right over here in the toolbar. And we're going to make a selection around the eye that we want to be larger. You don't really want to touch any of the edges, kind of steer clear of all the eyelashes and stuff and make yourself a nice selection. Now, we're going to need to soften this selection. If I weren't softened, if I was just going to put this up on its own layer, I would press Command J on Mac or Control J on PC, and I'll hide the background layer. You can see it's got a very hard, jaggy edge to it. However, let's just go back and I'm going to reload that selection. Let's say I went to the background layer and then we added a feather first. And I generally will always add a feather in instances like this because I want to hide my tracks. I don't want someone to see a hard edge where I made an adjustment. I want it to blend in smoothly. So I go and choose a feather. My default starting place is like 10 pixels on a high-res image. For something like this where I need it to blend off into a bunch of other skin. So we'll try 10 pixels. Then I'm going to press the same keyboard shortcut, Command J on Mac or Control J on PC. That puts that selected area up on its own layer. Look at the difference. Look how soft the edges are now. See how it's going to blend in with the skin around it? And look at the other one. Look at that hard edge, then the nice soft edge. So that's why we stick with the soft edge. We can get rid of that hard one. I just did that to give you a quick little example about feathering. You probably are very familiar with feathering, but for those of you who aren't, that's why I use it. Okay, now once we've gotten that into place, we're going to press Command T on Mac or Control T on PC to bring up Free Transform. There's a little grid up here in the left-hand corner. You want to make sure that the little dot is in the center of the grid. What that means is when we make the eye larger, it'll grow from the center outward, which is exactly what you want. In this case, if you made it up in the corner, it would grow from the corner outward. You want to make sure that it's in the center of the grid. Next, you want to move over here and you want to link this little link together, which means when you increase the height, it will also, or the width, it will also increase the height by the same amount. Let's say that again. Link them together, it increases the height and width together. All right, now, how much larger can you make the eye? Well, you can go about 102%, no problem. So you can just type in 102, and it just makes the eye that much bigger. It's a very, very subtle, nice move. And when you're done, hit Return or Enter to lock in your transformation. And look at this. The eye's that much bigger. Now it looks really, really balanced with the other one. And look how nice that looks. And you really can't see the edge. Even if I go in nice and tight, you really can't see it. Why can't you see where I did that thing? Why don't you see that hard edge? All because of that feathering. That feathering is so very important. So that's one way, and that's generally the preferred way that I like to do it, strictly because it's pretty much seamless and it doesn't look artificial. There is a second way to do this, and let's take a look again. All right, so you can see it really did a nice job. The second way to do it is to use the Liquify, and Liquify is very, very popular. We go under the filter menu. This is a great tool for retouchers. We'll be using it again and again. Let's go under and choose Liquify, and it's going to bring up its own separate interface, and it's kind of a large interface. So we're going to have to see if I can scale it down a little bit so you see the whole thing. Well, you see pretty much most of it. All right, so another thing you can do is there are a number of different tools here. We're going to choose the fifth tool down. There's like a pucker tool, and then there is a bloat tool, which kind of makes things smaller, one makes things larger, and then we're just going to move this tool over the eye. Now you can change the size using the bracket keys. If you use the left and right bracket keys, the changes are very small. If you add the shift key to it, the changes are much larger. And you're going to have to kind of go over the whole eye area. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see a little better. There we go. And you're just going to click. I think we have to go a little bigger here. You're just going to click once like that. But you see how it kind of bulges it forward a little bit? Let me undo that. As you can see, it kind of just bulges it a little bit forward. I mean, it certainly does make it bigger. But to me, when it comes to eyes, it looks a little bulgy to me. Just undo that. Now, you probably wouldn't notice if I just opened the photo and it looked that way. Now that you see it, it definitely looks a little bulgy. So let's give this one a click too. Whoa. All right, you see what just happened where it went crazy over there? Sometimes that happens. It's just I don't want to call it a bug because it's kind of always been this way, but you'll click it once, it'll be okay, and then all of a sudden it'll kind of jump up really big. And all of a sudden it'll get crazy. So let's just undo that. You can use the same undos here, by the way, as you did in Photoshop, the same little undos. It has its own separate undos. There we go. And we'll click OK, and you'll see it still will make it look bigger. All right, and let's choose a better magnification. But to me it looks a little buggy. It's a little bug eye. Now I will use this for other things. I think it's better for actually shrinking things than it is for enlarging things, but you can see, you know, it does work, so, but it's just a little buggy. Okay, anyway, so there we go. So there's a couple of tricks for making larger eyes. There are certain people in certain images where the liquify looks much better than it does here. This particular photo, I think the free transform method that we did earlier looks much, much better.